Okay, Rabbi. Well, let's think of this hypothetical situation where, what if all Jews everywhere, whether they're from Israel, Somalia, Ethiopia, or wherever, what if all Jews had a consensus that we're recognizing circumcision as an insanely archaic, travel prim, sadistic, backwards, disgusting, evil thing to do, and we're all gonna join the Jewish population of Russia and, completely abandon the practice of forced shell cutting and let it go the way of animal sacrifice or foot binding, like let become part of history. So, how would the world change? What would be different in a world where Jews no longer do circumcision, or where all future priests would be Brit Shalom instead, like the covenant of peace? How would the world be different? Well, Jewish men, Jewish women would be a lot happier. Viagra and lube sales would definitely plummet. Let's see, anti-Semitism would all but cease to exist. The Jews would no longer be the butt of every joke in the media. Uh, I guess Jewish men would finally have a whole natural, God-given, evolution-tested, full nervous, endocrine, immune, circulatory, and muscular system, and integumentary system. Um, what else would be different? Just yeah. Oh, the male population of the United States would no longer have the notorious reputation of being very 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 reserved with their emotions. Like, if you haven't noticed, the men of Europe and Latin America, where circumcision is basically unheard of, the men of Europe and Latin America, don't they seem to be like they have a much higher sense of emotional intimacy than American men? Like, it seems men of like Mexico and Brazil and Peru and everywhere else, they like to talk about their feelings, or I don't know, they don't have trouble discussing intimacy things with their wife or whatever. But then American males, it seems they always have this um I don't know, compared to the men of Europe and Latin America and, well, Asia for that matter, and everywhere else, American males seem to have a, I don't know, difficult time with like emotional expression and discussing intimate subjects. Like, do you think that do you think that's just a coincidence that the United States also has the highest rate of circumcision among developed nations? Like, we're the only country where it the government or the medical industry realize that they actually can make more money from circumcision than it costs. And actually, in Europe and Latin America, in Europe, like they used to do circumcision as much as us, but then they realized, oh wait, it costs them more to do it than the money we make from it, and yeah, it's unnecessary and it doesn't really help anyone because I guess they value people over profits there. So but do you think it's just a coincidence that the United States is really the only country that still does it? How else will the world be different? There'd be a lot less crime because, I mean, one of the PTSD symptoms that comes from forced cutting is tendency towards psychotic behavior, and increased aggression and sense of hopelessness, helpless, powerlessness, grief, anger, fear, frustration, um, lack of confidence, lack of empathy, lack of empathy. So there'll be a lot less crime. I think the Middle East would definitely be a lot less hectic. There'd be a lot less violence in the Middle East, especially Israel. Um, see, how else would the world be different? The United States, if you didn't know, we spend the most, by far the most, on the military. So, do you think it's just a coincidence that the US is so militaristic? I mean, I guess we were the first country to have nuclear warheads, so that is sort of a positive and maybe in some perspective. But so the US, if you didn't know, we spend by far the most on the military. We spend a lot on the military compared to other countries, like way, way more. And but we also have the highest circumcision rate. So do you think that's just a coincidence? Uh, there was that men's therapist who realized that American soldiers, when they get drunk, they start fighting. But European soldiers, when they get drunk, they start singing. So I think that has something to do with the fact that the United States has this backwards, sadistic, tribal practice of forced cutting. How we still do it because the U.S. medical country is campaigning to make it look healthy or whatever, even though we know that condoms are over 90% more effective at preventing HIV and every other STD. I mean, yeah, if you're talking about that study that was done in Uganda about HIV, one that was done in Uganda where HIV is just far more common, and to well, they didn't tell you that the circumcised group were the group that voluntarily got circumcised. They were given free condoms, and they were also given free sex education and health care. But the group that remained intact, they were not given anything. Oh, and the group that voluntarily got circumcised, they were each reimbursed or compensated with $27,000. So kind of a bribe to get them to lie. Um, there was also they didn't tell you that. I guess the group that got circumcised, well, they just had less sex because after circumcision you can't really have sex for a few weeks. Um, and they didn't tell you that well, male to female transmission decreased, but female to male transmission increased. So it doesn't really do anything. Still, condoms are way more effective. And let's see what else we want to say. The rabbi. So if I had a choice, my orgasms would be more intense. If I had a choice, my erections would be much more spontaneous and firmer. If I had a choice, I'd be able to go commando without chafing on my genitals. If I had a choice, I'd be able to a skinny dip in above average cold or hot water without, you know, nerve damage. Let's see, if I had a choice, I'd be a whole person. I'd get to know what my natural God given body is meant to look and feel like. And if I had a choice, I'd have a whole natural evolution tested immune, endocrine, circulatory, integumentary, muscular, and circulatory system. Um, See, if I had a choice, I would be able to lay in the dirt naked, lay in the dirt earthing without, contamination of this, what was really intended to be an internal organ that was externalized because the rabbis lied to the parents. Well, the doctors lied to the rabbis, and the rabbis are clueless. It's the blind leading the blind. Yeah, that's what I think about you people. You Jews, you're all just the blind leading the blind. And that rabbi really asked me, "Did you? Are you here to learn, or are you here to convince me?" So, Rabbi, you honestly thought that I, a person like me who grew up during the age of information, who is off the beat as me, you really think that I would be okay with the fact that genital mutilation is still a reality in the 21st century? Because you see, I'm not one of those brainwashed masses. I'm not just like your congregation. I don't just believe whatever is written in a book. Like, so something was written thousands of years ago, uh, well before the exception of germ theory, well before humans even washed their hands, well before people even knew about germs, before hygiene, personal hygiene was a thing, before people even knew that smoking was bad for you. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think something was written thousands of years ago. It's not, that doesn't make it true. Um, Rabbi, I just want you to know that as soon as you take away that extra skin, you are externalizing what was really intended by God to be an internal organ, and his glands will be exposed to abrasions of clothing, which cause them to become less dense over time. And since the mucosal membrane of the foreskin is no longer there to keep its glands warm and moist like they're supposed to be, that cause keratinization, so it becomes callous, thick, and desensitized. That man experiences a secondary loss of sensitivity, which grows greater the older he gets. And as his sensitivity erodes, also erodes his sense of empathy. That's why the Middle East is so messed up. So as soon as those people learn to have sex naturally, the world will know peace. So that's another way the world would be different. The Middle East would, be less hectic.